September 1943. A British SOE agent stands at a tram stop in Brussels, holding a black umbrella against light rain. A Belgian Gestapo informant approaches, recognizable from surveillance photographs taken 3 weeks earlier. The agent shifts position slightly, bringing the umbrella's ferrule within half a meter of the informant's leg. He presses a concealed trigger mechanism in the handle. A spring-loaded firing pin strikes a modified .22 caliber cartridge housed in the umbrella's steel tip. The sound is approximately 85 decibels, comparable to normal street traffic. The bullet penetrates the informant's femoral artery. The agent closes the umbrella, boards the arriving tram, and exits 3 stops later. The informant collapses within 90 seconds from blood loss. Witnesses report seeing a man fall ill at the tram stop. No weapon is found. No gunshot is reported. The umbrella that killed him was already 2 kilometers away, indistinguishable from thousands of other umbrellas carried through Brussels that day. It was never recovered. The SOE Technical Section manufactured approximately 12 such weapons between 1942 and 1944, and their existence remained classified for 37 years after the war ended. The Special Operations Executive faced an assassination problem in occupied Europe that was tactical and environmental. Agents needed to eliminate specific targets in public spaces where conventional firearms would immediately expose the operative to capture or death. Suppressed pistols like the well rod were effective, but recognizable as weapons if observed before use. Knives required physical struggle that could alert bystanders. Poison was unreliable and slow-acting. What field operatives required were weapons disguised as objects so common that carrying them attracted no attention, that could deliver lethal force at close range, and that produced minimal sound or visual signature. The weapons had to function reliably after weeks or months of storage in damp conditions, had to be simple enough to operate under extreme stress, and had to be deniable if captured. Standard weapons design could not meet these requirements. The solution required improvisation at the intersection of engineering and deception. Development occurred at Station 9, the SOE research facility at Welwyn, and at Station 12 near Aston House, beginning in 1941. The technical staff, led by engineers whose names remained classified until the 1990s, approached the problem by analyzing what objects agents could carry in occupied territories without suspicion. Umbrellas were selected because they were ubiquitous in northern European cities. Their construction naturally incorporated rigid components that can house firing mechanisms, and social convention meant they were carried pointed downward, facilitating targeting of lower body areas where major arteries were accessible. The design constraint was creating a firing mechanism that fit within an umbrella's standard dimensions while remaining functional as an actual umbrella to maintain the disguise under casual inspection. The weapon used a modified umbrella with a steel ferrule, the protective tip at the bottom of the shaft, bored out to accommodate a barrel approximately 75 millimeters long and 5.6 millimeters in diameter. This barrel was chambered for a .22 short cartridge, the smallest practical centerfire round available. The cartridge was loaded from a hinged access panel concealed in the umbrella's handle. The firing mechanism used a spring-loaded striker released by a trigger button integrated into the handle's grip area. Pressing the button in a specific sequence, typically 2 rapid presses, disengaged to safety and released the striker. This prevented accidental discharge while allowing rapid deployment. The barrel's short length meant muzzle velocity was reduced to approximately 150 meters per second, roughly half that of a standard .22 short fired from a proper pistol. This reduced velocity limited range to under 2 meters, but made the weapon quieter and easier to suppress. The umbrella's canopy and frame were functional, allowing the weapon to be opened and used as an actual umbrella. This was critical for maintaining the disguise. An agent could carry the umbrella openly, use it in the rain, and only deploy it as a weapon when the target was within engagement range. The steel ferrule was slightly heavier than standard ferrules, but not noticeably so unless directly compared. The access panel in the handle was friction fit and appeared to be a decorative band when closed. The entire weapon weighed approximately 650 grams, within the normal range for a sturdy umbrella.
Visual inspection by police or security personnel would reveal nothing suspicious unless the umbrella was disassembled, a process requiring tools and taking several minutes. Operational deployment was extremely limited. The weapons were issued only to agents conducting specific assassination missions where other methods were deemed too risky. Training emphasized target selection and shot placement. The .22 short round lacked stopping power for torso shots against clothed targets, particularly in cold weather when heavy coats were worn. Agents were instructed to target the femoral artery in the upper thigh or the subclavian artery in the neck area. These targets were accessible with the umbrella held naturally and offered a high probability of rapid incapacitation through blood loss. The weapon was single shot only, requiring reloading through the handle access panel. This process took approximately 20 seconds and could not be performed covertly in public. The umbrella functioned as a weapon exactly once per loading, after which the agent had to disengage immediately. Documented operational use is fragmentary. SOE operational records were systematically destroyed or remain classified. Surviving documents reference umbrella weapons in inventory lists and training materials, but provide no specific mission details. Intelligence reports from occupied territories note several instances of Gestapo personnel or collaborators dying from unexplained gunshot wounds in public locations where no weapon was recovered and no gunshot was clearly heard. These deaths cluster in periods when SOE agents were known to be active in the same cities, suggesting possible umbrella weapon use, though definitive attribution is impossible. The umbrella's effectiveness was measured not by confirmed kills, but by the absence of compromised operatives, indicating the disguise functioned as intended.
Comparison with similar weapons from other intelligence services reveals the umbrella's unique characteristics. Soviet intelligence developed various disguised firearms, including cane guns and cigarette case guns, but these were typically larger caliber and less thoroughly integrated into their disguise objects. The NKVD's lipstick pistol, a single-shot .45 caliber weapon disguised as cosmetics, was more powerful, but obviously not a cosmetic item upon close inspection. American OSS produced pen guns and belt buckle guns, both single-shot .22 caliber weapons, but these were smaller and designed for defensive escape scenarios rather than offensive assassination. The SOE umbrella was distinctive in being a full-size, everyday object that remained functional for its stated purpose while concealing a lethal capability. This required more sophisticated engineering than purely disguised weapons that only resembled their cover objects. The limitations were substantial. The single-shot capacity meant that missing or failing to hit a vital area left the operative defenseless. The .22 short rounds' limited power meant lethality depended entirely on precise shot placement under stress. The umbrella's length made it awkward in confined spaces and conspicuous in summer weather when carrying umbrellas was unusual. Most critically, the weapon could not be tested by the operative before deployment without revealing its nature and expending the ammunition. Agents carried umbrella weapons not knowing with certainty whether the firing mechanism would function or whether the cartridge had degraded during storage. This uncertainty was accepted as unavoidable given the operational requirements. Manufacturing was limited to a small workshop at Station 9, with production numbers deliberately kept minimal to maintain security. Each umbrella was hand-assembled using modified commercial umbrella frames and custom-machined firing mechanisms. Quality control was intensive, with each weapon test-fired before delivery and the barrel replaced if necessary. Production records suggest approximately 12 umbrella weapons were completed between 1942 and 1944. Additional units were in various stages of completion when the program was terminated in late 1944 as Allied forces advanced and the operational environment changed. Remaining umbrellas in inventory were destroyed after the war as part of the broader disposal of specialized SOE equipment. Post-war declassification occurred gradually.
The umbrella weapon's existence was not publicly acknowledged until a 1978 BBC documentary on SOE operations, and detailed technical information remained classified until the 1990s. Several factors contributed to prolonged secrecy. The weapon's design could be replicated with modest machine shop facilities, creating proliferation concerns. British intelligence services continued using similar disguised weapons during the Cold War and preferred not to highlight their capabilities. Most significantly, surviving SOE personnel who had carried or manufactured the umbrellas were bound by Official Secrets Act provisions that remained in effect decades after the war. Many died before being cleared to discuss their work. The psychological dimension of the umbrella weapon merits examination. Agents carrying umbrellas as weapons operated with knowledge that they held lethal capability hidden in an object symbolically associated with protection from weather, not violence. This cognitive dissonance was deliberate. The umbrella's mundane nature provided psychological camouflage as well as physical disguise. Targets approached by someone carrying an umbrella would not register threat until the weapon had been deployed, providing the critical seconds required for close approach and accurate shot placement. This exploitation of normalcy as cover was central to SOE's approach to covert operations and distinguished British methods from more aggressive approaches used by other services.
The Gestapo informant who died at the Brussels tram stop in September 1943 was never officially connected to SOE operations. Belgian police reports listed the death as natural causes following initial confusion about the wound. German security investigation found no weapon and concluded the death was either a medical emergency or the result of an unknown altercation. The umbrella that killed him was likely disassembled and disposed of within hours of the operation, with the firing mechanism destroyed and the umbrella frame discarded as scrap. No umbrella weapons are known to have survived the war intact. Museum collections include reconstructions based on declassified specifications, but these are approximations created from written descriptions rather than examination of actual examples. The weapons existed, killed quietly, and disappeared into the operational history of an organization that prioritized success over documentation. The rain that day in Brussels was real. The umbrella was real. The death was real. Everything else remained classified.